really good, yeah.
Stopping by a brewery to sample some beers is something that incites a few senses. Even if you're not a beer aficionado, you're likely paying attention to the way a beer looks, the smell as you raise the glass, then, of course, the taste.
How is that? Delicious.
All of that is science.
So I had no idea that I would use my PhD for a brewery.
Christy Mahaffey is the Director of Quality Control and one of the founders of Foundation Brewing Company, and she's wicked smart.
We check the specific gravity of the beer every day. We check the pH every day. We screen for any microbiological contaminants at several points through the brewing and fermentation and packaging processes. All of that happens in the lab.
The lab is a kitchen filled with beakers and testing equipment. Even an intern who, by the way, already has a background in engineering and is now studying physics.
I am working on a satellite project the university has going on. This showed up for the summer and I applied and got into this. My dream would be to actually get my doctorate and move on to doing physics research. That is standard ale yeast growing.
Right now, his research focuses on the chemical compounds in beer, but everything Sean Stoner is doing here is rounding out his education.
You know, it's one of the reasons that we kind of got started down this path was looking for ways to engage students, like what excites our undergraduates, and beer absolutely will do that.
Welcome to the Beer Lab, or technically the Quality Control Collaboratory, inside the Science Building at the University of Southern Maine. Here, students and their professors put Maine beers to the test.
We can look at how much alcohol is in the beer. We can look at calories, proteins, carbohydrates, those nutritional values you think of in beer. We also look at like color. What does the color look like? Because if color changes, there's something in the process that changed. And then we can also look for other things like microbes that might have contaminated beer to make sure that the beer is in a good shape to ship out to the consumer and won't change over time.
Lucy Benedict is an associate professor for the college and one of the founders of the QC lab.
My degree is an analytical chemist, and I went to school, I studied organogeochemistry.
As a young kid loving science, did you ever see yourself working with beer?
No.
How do you describe this job to people when you kind of explain what it is you do?
Well, you know, beer science always gets people's attention.
Even for larger brewers like Foundation with an on-site lab and scientist, the QC lab helps confirm testing or digs deeper into more complicated results. Lucy and her team also provide on-site workshops to smaller brewers, teaching the science behind the beer.
We work with probably a dozen brewers on a regular basis who are sending their samples in, weekly. But overall, we've worked with over 80 brewers in New England, and we've also have some breweries, like we had a brewery in Texas that reached out to us, and we worked with one in Chicago. So we've worked with a lot of breweries, a lot in the state of Maine, though.
Even the newest arrivals.
We really couldn't do what we do without them.
Brewing seltzers and ciders, Ian Gurrig takes a sample of every new batch to the lab every few days.
So our process is that we're starting with 95% ABV spirits, and we're infusing fresh fruit into those spirits. So that infusion is getting diluted at an unknown rate, and that's what we tried to figure out on our own through mass difference or volume difference, and the numbers just never really reflected what was actually happening. And so it's great that the university can have that, teach their students that are hopefully our future employees how to use that equipment, and then for a pretty reasonable price, we're able to utilize that lab. And it's really helping out a lot of small breweries and beverage manufacturers around here.
Whether quality control of flavor, consistency or smell, or just overall safety.
There is nothing in beer that we found yet that can kill you or harm you or make you sick.
Maine's brewers are crossing their T's and dotting their I's and really putting the work into a quality product with a little creativity and a whole lot of science.
So when you're sitting here drinking a beer, you can rest assured that a lot of testing has happened behind the scenes.
A lot of testing.